Welcome to my Sorare Journey, episode 79, and I know what you may be thinking.
I can't believe it, someone said you was dead.
But no, alive and well. I'll explain the absence from content, or Sorare content specifically, throughout this video. You'll understand why, but the long and short of it is, for YouTube, I always just do what I enjoy. It's not my job, it's a hobby, so I've not had as much fun from Sorare, so I'm not going to make Sorare content, if that makes sense. But where I do have fun, international competitions. Now, Sorare just increases that desire where everyone in the world seems to have their eyes on football. Everyone's an England fan or whichever nation they were born in, and it's great to see all the casuals come back. So let's see how I've been cooking. Because I've had a little bit of spare time, which has enabled me to research into the Euros as much as possible. Some of you may know that I have a separate YouTube channel now strictly just for football, where I try and share my insights into the world of football, so you've got to be knowledgeable about these topics. So currently I feel like a bit of like a mad scientist where there's information coming from everywhere, but I'm starting to process it, understand it, get it into something that might be shareable, might be helpful to people. But at the end of the day, this is international football and this is Sorare, this is football. Everything about those is just unpredictable. But in terms of my preparation for the Euros, it's an interesting one because previously, let's say the World Cup or the Euros prior, I always jump head first into it because it's my favourite type of competitions. You know, like I said, just the world watching football, everyone seems to come together for it. And that just, you know, that's the experience I love. So I'm buying all these cards, I'm getting super prepared for it. And then the event happens and it's great fun to watch. But from a Sorare perspective, you're looking at it and you're like, I got 3 games out of this guy and I paid like 200 quid more than I should have. So this year I tried to be a bit more sensible and be like, right, there's players I like, but I'm not going to go crazy and get them. Like, I might buy some cheap players. Like, I bought Mark Gay. I got a bit lucky that Maguire got injured. But I was like, £35, might have a couple of minutes there. All of a sudden, boom, he's up here again. I actually bought him, it's like £33. And I bought 2. And then I was like, oh, I'll just sell one, need some money. Second I sell him. Oh, by the way, a couple of days later, there we go, boom in price. So you've got to love that. But it is what it is at the end of the day. But you want to see, I guess, how my teams are looking, and this is it. I would call it surprisingly strong, considering I didn't really prepare for it. There's a couple of cards that in the back of my mind, I was like, we'll grab him and he'll have some utility. But overall, because I'm Premier League focused, because I'm Champion Europe focused, I have the best players in the world, so a lot of them slot into their natural positions. Now, this is a really fun thing I like to do on a spreadsheet, which sounds incredibly geeky, but it's actually basing how likely they are to play based on the size of the card. So I think defenders works best here. So Willy Orban, Robbo, 90 to 100%. Trippier, Gay, probably like 70, 80% chance. And then we go into the 30s, who are like pretty much guaranteed not to start, but could have some minutes, rotation fixtures, an injury, anything like that, they become useful. So what you can see is we are completely unbalanced. Like, we have one forward who is exactly what I was kind of saying, like, I kind of want Gakpo, and then you see, like, probably guaranteed to start from the Netherlands, and you need a forward, so it's like, right, we'll go get him. Same as Jota. I'm such a mug. Like, I actually went out and got Diogo Jota, and I was like, yeah, this guy's going to guarantee to start when he's back fit, and then he took longer to get back fit. And then, yeah, ultimately I got him at like the lowest prices. I don't know why I'm complaining. What did I get him for? £48. Like, next season in the Premier League, he's just so underrated. And I don't know if he's underrated, but he's just class. But he's always injured, so I don't know. I got him for 48. He last sold for 85. So he's got a chance of starting a couple of games. I'm not certain on it all, but overall, big lack of forward. So it's like, now do I counter what I've just said in my intro, where it's like, yeah, it's 3 games, could be 4 or 5, and then try and get an extra team out. You might see the big question mark here, Benjamin Sesko. Now, obviously, I have the complete Salzburg collection, pretty much Leipzig collection, without Benjamin Sesko, because he's not a great SO5 asset. Like, last 15 of 52, and then keep in mind, these are the games that he's playing. He scored in every single game in the last, 7 or 8. So I know how talented he is. I previously made the mistake of calling him a plank of wood.
Benjamin Sesko is a plank of wood.
I now see he's better than a plank of wood, but he's not a Sorare player. He doesn't get AA. What's his highest AA? 13 in the last year, and that was internationally against Northern Ireland, who are one of the worst international teams you can find at the minute. So you would think you don't need him. But the rest of the Sorare world has decided they're going to spend £200 on him. Thankfully, he's just dropped to 171, which I've just seen now. But still, I didn't want to buy him at 150. And keep in mind, they're just regular users. I'm getting a 5% bonus on all of his scores compared to everyone else because I've got that full collection. So I'm looking at it and I'm like, I think he'll have a good Euros. Like, Denmark aren't that strong. England, you can probably get a point at. And who's the other team? Is it Serbia? Something like that, where I think, like, they might get third or second, and he'll be at the centre of all of their attacks and their goals, but I can't justify spending that. So I might try and find a cheap option to slot into this forward position, but again, you're in that position where I said I didn't want to do it and I'll be doing it. But I've got some late good news, Trippier's back, Mark Gay getting a position, Pellegrini seems to start, which I didn't expect. Almost probably more than 30%. He's just back from an injury or something like that. So yeah, it's all a bit good. Maybe just missing a forward, but we haven't planned out the game weeks, maybe that's something I should do, just see if we're missing a forward, how strong is the second team going to be, because you'd expect Gakpo is going to be your main starter. I just want to check quickly, because I bought Gakpo a little while ago, and is the only kind of, or him and Jota were the only eyes on the Euro sort of thing. But yeah, I'm buying at good times, got him for 130, 214 pranks he sell down, my man. But yeah. Overall, really happy with the Euro team. We'll see how it does. We do actually rotate into Copa America. I need to check when the dates change over, if one starts and one finishes, or there'll be an overlap towards the last 16. But Alisson, Bruno Guimaraes might play. I've got Messi in limited. A couple of players that, Vinicius in limited. There's lower down players. Who am I thinking of? Julio Enciso, he might play for Paraguay. Loads of little things that just give you a little bit more utility, which is always nice to have, I guess. And that's just the half of it, because Rivals is getting this huge promotion for the Euros of this whole free-to-play gameplay. You've got a couple of ambassador leagues here, and then you get, the main event is to play with Zidane again, which I think is fantastic, and you get 20 players or 20 friends all into one group, and the top 5 scores count towards every game. I think this is a fantastic idea. We've got the simpletons here, so I put out an invite in Discord. I'll put the link in Discord if you want to join, but obviously this league's full up now. Let me know in the comments if you want a separate league. Maybe I'll do 2. We'll do the simpletons 2.0 or something. But yeah, essentially you could play every Rivals game and you just accumulate points as a team, and then I think you get to go and play with Zidane, which is just it's such a genius idea. I love it, and I do have to feed into some rants. The thing I want to get off my chest about it that really scares me is that I feel we're doing almost exactly the same thing we did last international competition. So for the Global Cup, everyone around the world invited their friends for what was one of the most engaging, fun, free-to-play games in fantasy football. But the problem was, there was no holding hands into the main game. There was no real knowledge of the main game except for maybe the scoring. And the main game is really difficult to pick up. And with things like Essence and other stuff, it's just getting more complicated and more difficult to understand. So what annoys me about, it's probably more to these ambassador leagues. I feel at least some of those prizes should be in ambassador leagues just for SO5, just for players that go out and buy players for the main game, the one that actually keeps the lights on and keeps Sorare at a business. Now, I understand it's like marketing, getting eyes on the competition, knowing who's going to be there. I remember Sorare saying they thought the Global Cup was actually a success because of how much, I forget the word, but, brand knowledge it brings out. Everyone knows the name now sort of thing. That's what they were going for. Then down the line, maybe they sign people up. But 2 years later, it feels like we're doing the exact same problem, where it's are we still just going for brand recognition? We don't want to sign anyone up. And if you know me, you know I'm going to be a geek about it. I've been tracking these stats. Now, I just got them from Sorare Base, as you'll see shared on Twitter. But I much prefer a table format. And if you're looking at 2023 and you're wondering why prices are down, this will be why. The huge drop in new user growth. And it didn't stop in 2024. So I'm looking at it, and for the last 2 years, we've had 1 month of new users, and that was when they offered 50k. I had these little, special events. They added 50k for new users. So it shows right, well, that is a great strategy. New users like cash. Of course, they'll have more in-depth statistics where it's okay, well, how many of those new users still play today and all the rest of it. But what I'm trying to say is we are still struggling to onboard new users. And our strategy is to completely go for a free-to-play, get everyone involved again, which we done in 2022. And look at the effects in 2023. So it just frightens the life out of me that we have one of the best fantasy football games in the world, but it just seems that their strategy doesn't make sense to me. Now, it's nothing to panic about. Like, people are going to have great fun on this. They might play every week, and it's not like you can't set and forget your teams. Like, people will need to be engaged if they want to win prizes. But I also don't see it onboarding too many users even in the free-to-play game because of how much work you need and because of how much knowledge you have to have. So I'm really concerned with a strategy that it's great for current users. Like, I love, these 5 leagues of like different friends I've made throughout, my Sorare journey and just my time in the Sorare community. Then you have ambassador leagues, which is great. Some of the icons of creating content and doing everything. Annoyed not to get my own league though, which kind of makes sense because I haven't made any content in a while. But anyway, it's nice to have that as like just a fun little thing to do. And then you see people like John advertising on it on his Instagram and stuff. But I still think that ambassador league would have been better split up. Like, we'll have someone like John and we'll put him into like football, and you say, right, that's the free to play league. But when you take someone like Quinny or Nachos and put their league in like an SO5 league, and it's like, right, they've set the entry requirements of you must have 2 nations and someone over 30 years old. Whoever wins this one game week we're going to pick, then you win the signed shirts, then you win that. And then it keeps everyone happy. It keeps those that have gone out and spend 5, 10, 20, 25 grand on cards. But it also attracts new users and says, hey, there's a chance to play with Zidane. And it's like, Nellis's his audience, for example, are going to be mainly football fans. They won't know what Sorare is or play Sorare, probably more likely. But that gives an extra step to say, hey, maybe I should give this a chance. And then you put some transitions in to funnel through. Like, I still find this whole concept, just if you joined Sorare today and said, right, pro, climb the leaderboards, win amazing prizes, rivals, head-to-head against friends, this doesn't do enough for me. Like, it still confuses me and, like, just isn't clear enough of what's happening. So that's a little bit of a rant. And we're in this deep now, so I'm going to continue to my next rant, which I've already brought up. But effectively, the secondary market is taking a very, very back seat in the last 6 to 12 months on Sorare. And my favourite thing about Sorare is buying and selling players. It's calling, Lewis Appenda's going to have a great season, then selling him at the top when he's scoring, 6 goals in 6 games and stuff. And that's just not really possible anymore because of collection bonus, because of the market tax. I did a whole video on it, so I'm not going to drill into it. But for me, I'm a very much log into Sorare, set my lineups, and go sort of player now, which I think a lot of people are at home. So I don't have that desire to make content and be like, oh, I really think XYZ is going to have a great season, because the only way I could do that is to hold him for the rest of time. Whereas my teams are pretty much set now. Like, you look at my teams, I think you can see we've got our old champ players, we've got our Bundesliga players. I add a couple of Premier League players I like here and then if I see a bargain or I see a bit of news that I think could change them. Like, I love Elise, for example. I've wanted him for ages, finally secured him. But yeah, I think just I want to apologise and say I'm sorry I'm not doing as much content as I'd like to. But that's also not true, because I'm doing as much content as I like to. I'm happy once a month or once every other month or whatever it is, just because that's the kind of joy I'm getting out of Sorare at the minute. Like, if it closed down tomorrow and say I got all my money back, I wouldn't even be that sad at the minute, because it's like, it saves me a task, wasn't making money off it anyway, wasn't losing money off it anyway. It's just kind of like that middle ground, which is almost the worst, where it's not bad enough to kick and shout about it, and it's not good enough to go out and tell all your friends about it and make it up. So I very much feel this is just my opinion. I'm not asking for changes, I'm not asking for anything. I just have to get my opinions out there because it's my Sorare journey, and I feel bad that I'm putting all this work into a brand new channel, but it's not because I forgot about the channel. It's because this is my passion. This is what I enjoy doing. I'm not doing it for money. I'm not doing it to gain a huge following. So yeah, let's turn this ship around and do a little bit of a season in review and just say we've closed off another season on Sorare. We've loved playing every single week, hoping that our players do well, and let's see what we've won. Now, my biggest concern is that if I just flash up my teams, these are all in-season cards. So towards since that last split, when it was like March time or maybe April time, when that in-season bonus sort of came out, they just played cash. And I don't know where I can just find, like, I'd love a little card here which says, you know, £100 cash or something, but it's hard to see where I would actually get that from, unless you look at the total, which totals like a free year, so I can't really do a season in review. But you can see the cards I won before April and May, and we'll see any after. Like Kalulu for a tier 3 seems like a fantastic one. I don't think he's starting. Matt Turner was a disappointing tier 2 when he had lost the spot like 2 weeks before. That's just a reward system being not up to standard. I think they kind of accepted it's not up to standard, so they're kind of moving everyone away to like, oh, let's get essences and reward boxes and everything else, which I think is the right strategy. I think it's just time they accepted our reward structure. We tried it so many times, didn't work. Cole Will for a tier 3, buzzing with that. Raspadori, tier 3, probably good on reflection. I didn't like it at the time. Hoyland for a tier 1 was great. Alphonso Davies for 17th place. That was a highlight of the season. Who else have we got? Milos Kerkez. Now, I think for tier 3, that's probably quite good. And then we're at the start of the season now. We're in one of the very first weeks. I want Estupinian and Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, Estupinian did have not a good season for what he was expected to have. But I'm selling the top, baby. Or did I sell this one? Did I sell both? Did I sell the top up there? I don't know. But whatever price I sold him for, it was very good compared to what he's going for now at £15. In terms of the price stability on Sorare, it's obviously gone down a lot. Like you can see Estupinian's graph. But I don't think your overall gallery value, if you've had an average season drop too hard, I think you'll be negative. But I don't know how negative. Like if we look at my gallery, maybe I'll try and find if I had this figure on screen before, but it's about 5,700. I think towards the start of the season, midsummer, maybe 6,000-7,000, but I did put more money in, so it gets really confusing. But ultimately, I don't think it's been an awful year on Sorare, but if we flash back to the new users, we just need to start, I don't know, onboarding new users, but I think we just need a little, like, system where we progress people up like a transveyor belt or whatever it is, where it's like, right, you get them involved in winning Zidane. It's like, well, when they don't win that, what do we have? And I feel like that's where we're struggling still. I feel it's just like, go out, buy 5 cards and compete every week. And it's like, am I competing against that guy that's playing Neuer, Kimmich, Kroos, Bruno Fernandes, Keynes, and whoever all the best players are? I don't even know at the minute. Grimaldo. Yeah, you are, mate. Just good luck. And if you're struggling, just spend more money. And it's like, I can see why that system doesn't work. Like, yeah, I think that's my biggest long-term concern for Sorare. It's like, the game just gets more complicated with these essence things. I had no idea what essences were until I watched a video on it yesterday from Quinny. Like, I heard about it, and it's like, people were telling me it's like a progression bar, but because I didn't sit and read the article, I was like, I have no clue. And it's like, are you expecting new users to go and sit and read the Medium article on what these complicated things mean, like essence? I wouldn't know. I wish they would have just called it a progression bar. Like, everyone was so excited for that back in the day, and it'd be better just to bring it out. So, this is the return of my Sorare journey. I think I've had an average season on Sorare. I think I could have done better. Leipzig probably let me down. Maybe not overall as a season. They came good towards the end, but when I was expecting them to hit, they didn't really hit. And then when I medium expected them to do well, they smashed. So next season, we'll still have all those cards. Expecting a big season from them. Really excited to roll out some of my Premier League players. Like, we'll get Matoma back. We get Solly March fit. Elise, wherever he ends up. Bruno should have a more attacking role at Newcastle, I read. Hopefully Brighton come back to how good they were the season before with, you know, different manager and what is it? No European football and no injuries or less injuries, let's say. So really looking forward to all of that. I hope it's you see the balanced argument now where like I'm complaining but I don't hate the game and everything else. And yeah, my Sorare journey at the end of the day. But I do hope you like. If you did like, please like. If you want me to open a second Rivals League or whatever it's called, let me know and I'll consider that. Besides that, all the best to you. Cheers.